if you're looking for a way out of Dungeons and Dragons, Wizard of the Coast, out of this whole OGL debacle, you might be looking toward Pathfinder 2 as the answer. And you're almost right. The answer is Pathfinder. But not the one that you think.
What?
Everyone is currently looking to Paizo and Pathfinder as the alternative for Dungeons and Dragons. I would argue that it's not the answer. It's really, 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 really close, trust me. It's still Pathfinder, but for Savage Worlds. So look, I've got this box theory for D&D that things inside of the D&D box end up driving sales towards Dungeons & Dragons, drives players towards Dungeons & Dragons, and as long as you stay inside this box, you don't really escape, you temporarily go out of it, but you come right back in. What is this D&D box? Well, PastD has the answer. Do you use a D20 plus mod? Do you use classes? Do you use fantasy aesthetic? 2 out of 3, you're in the box. So what does it really mean to be in this box? So the elements of the game are just congruent enough to D&D to still naturally drive people to playing in D&D. Maybe not with this edition, because after 4E, people went to Pathfinder because they didn't like 4E. They want something different because it was like, it wasn't their game anymore. However, when 5e came along, people for Pathfinder went right back up. And that's what Wizards of the Coast wants you to do. They know after this entire this debacle, they're probably going to still try pushing some sort of messed up OGL on you. But they'll be like, no one's going to go for 6e, but they're going to scoop right under. They're going to come back for 7. They want that to happen. You'll have Pathfinders going to give it a shot, whether or not they get stuck back in. However, it's a crapshoot. Now, PF2 is like a smoker taking a nicotine patch. They might be able to one day fully wean off cigarettes, but you're still intaking nicotine. You're still intaking D&D. It's too close to be that different. Now, my answer, I said earlier, it's Pathfinder still, but for Savage Worlds. Now, if you're not sure what Pathfinder is, Pathfinder, it's a game by Paizo and considered one of the top competitors to Dungeons & Dragons. Originally, it was birthed out of 3.5 when people were like really unhappy with D&D 4e, so much that people called it D&D 3.75. It has its own setting, Galarian, with like cool alchemists and like all sorts of like the technically and Numera and like all kinds of really cool things with its own flavor and aesthetics that's super real hard to pull out of once you're in. It is addictive and really cool. Their books are really nice. I would really recommend Liar's Blade by Tim Pratt, I believe. It's really good. But Pathfinder's setting is really cohesive. Unlike Dungeons & Dragons, which is like, is this Eberron? Is this Greyhawk? Is this the Shattered Coast? This is, you know what I mean? There is one cohesive one, Galarian, with many different places, but it's cohesive and cool. Now, what is Savage Worlds? Savage World is a rule engine by Pinnacle Games. If you've ever heard of Deadlands, which is cowboys fighting zombies, then you've been exposed to Savage Worlds. It's an explosive dice system with dice sizes for stats. For example, your strength might be d6, your agility might be d10. You roll these to beat checks, but for every 4, remember 4, you get above your target number or DC, you win harder. More damage, more explosions. It's a very fast, very furious system. Dice in this one explode so hard. So once you roll, let's say 6 on d6, you roll another d6. But if that gets a 6, you roll another d6. And keeps going and going and going and going. One of my favorite stories behind this is one of my players, they were just messing around and just like, I'm going to skip this rock across the water. They had a d8. They rolled 44. That water skipped. Like it was like when the stone hit the water, it like rippled, boof, boof, went right across the water, right into a cliff face, and then that cliff face cracked, and you would slowly see this huge chunk of rock fall into the lake. 'That's Savage Worlds. Now, back in 2021, the two companies, Paizo and Pinnacle, decided to partner together. They'd applied Pathfinder's unique setting Galarian, as well as several of its adventure books, such as Rise of the Runelords, and just recently with their new campaign, Curse of the Crimson Throne. And they port them to Savage Worlds rule set. It even uses cool new rules as its class edge system, bringing much needed structure to Savage Worlds' mostly skill-based system. Now you have class edges. You could be a barbarian 1, 2, 3. When you prestige class, when you like get special classes, you just take more edges, more feats. Oh yeah, I'm a barbarian too, but I mix into assassin 1 as well as wizard 1. It's super cool, and each class is like really cool abilities that really sell the flavor of Pathfinder. My favorite is Inquisitor because it's not very clear with the rank code, but I am a witch hunter. It's a whole thing. It's kind of sick.
Does anyone care what I think?
Combined together, you have a game that still has adjacent trappings to Dungeons and Dragons, with its fantasy and class elements, sure, but the engine is completely different. You're an entirely new game with enough foundational familiarity to anchor into the game. Pathfinder 1 and 2 play a little too hard with D&D's aesthetics and systems, but Pathfinder 4 Savage Worlds is just enough to inch people away from D&D. It breaks them out just enough to start seriously considering other options. Pathfinder Savage Worlds, because of its because of its stats dice system, it'll lead you into games like Kids on Bikes, like Cortex Prime. It'll lead you into Dragon Prince, which is Cortex Prime, so that's not really cool. Kids on Brooms, Fabula Ultima, dice sizes for stats, which is a really cool system I think you should all get into. That's the box I'm in. Dice sizes for stats box. Let's go. Now listen. Do you think what I do is kind of cool? Do you think you want to hear more of this post-D&D movement? Come check me out. You could like, comment, subscribe, but also I stream on Twitch. There's a link down there. I'm on Twitter. There's a link down there. There's a Patreon if you think what I'm doing is cool. There's no really cool new stuff other than seeing like the notes of when I make videos. You see my video notes at most right now, but maybe sometime I will have really cool goodies for Patreon. The Patreon members help keep me going, and I hope you do too. Go for post-D&D, find other things, do better. Yeah! Like, comment, subscribe again. Yeah.